that the younger players can learn from. So this is a team that should gain momentum as the season goes on. You know, we can't kid ourselves in that we're everything's covered completely. You know, like some teams like Montbegan could or Mumbai could, because they're in that situation. We have to. We think we're in a good position. We're happy where we are. We do feel like this team will, you know, get better and better. There's 11 new players, new staff, new head coach, you know, new captain, and so we're looking to try to do something well for the season that can be repeated the following season and the following season after that. So part as a coach is you have to, you know, win games, develop players, and build something that can last. And we're trying to do all three.
Hi, Alan. This is Kaushik from Sports Point. As Coach said, you are also one of the new inclusions, and this is your first time in India. So, how do you prepare yourself for the big season ahead? And also, as a new recruit, you always have the responsibility to score more, to give more for the team. So, what did you expect of the season?
First of all, good morning to everyone. Thanks for the question. Yes. For me, new country, and for me was, how to say, it was easy to make this choice because after first conversation with our coach, was easy to me to understand his philosophy, his determination to make well here, and how to say, like. Basically, after 1 minute, I spoke with my family and we decided to make this choice. I was looking forward to get here, and now we are like for almost 2 months. We had great pre-season, in my opinion, and we are ready for our first game tomorrow.
Thank you.
Coach, I'm not from Ankal newspaper. But one thing is that you may or may not know, I don't know, but that Eastbengal doesn't have the mainstream two stoppers actually for the injury and the national team duties actually. So at this point of time, when you having a team which don't have the mainstream players actually, so would you want to exploit the things and go for that 3 points? Always everybody wants 3 points, but when you are playing a home away match and the first match, so what would be the approach to this match actually, particular match?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, we're away from home first game, and as a coach, I've never minded that. I've actually always preferred to be away the first game of the season. I always feel like the first game of the season is more like a carnival type of atmosphere at times, and it really doesn't bode well a lot of times. So I always prefer to be away first. So I'm happy with that. This is the closest away game for us. I'm happy with that. And so as for Eastbengal, we're aware that there's a couple of injuries. Like all clubs have, like we have too. So it's. But regardless of the players they have, they still have a very, very good coach. There's no doubt about that. And so I would expect them to still be formidable and strong. They are at home. The pressure's on them really to be a home team first game of the season. And so we are aware of some of the players that may or may not play. Because you never know in football, right? You never know. And so we will just consider everything, and of course we've had discussions and talks. And really though, we can look at Eastbengal as much as we want, but we are a developing team, and so we have to really focus on ourselves to develop well, and that's where we're focused on.
Good morning, Coach. As you mentioned, Eastbengal coach, actually he comes from Spain and he comes from UK, to different football culture. So what do you think about that? It reflects on the field tomorrow?
I don't think you can take two coaches' passports and it equals any type of playing philosophy, at all. I mean, I've played against some Spanish coaches that go direct. I've played against some UK coaches that keep possession, you know, the old adage of he'll go long, they'll keep the possession. And so, from my perspective, I know who I am as a coach, I know what I want for my teams, you know, and that's what's on paper for people to look at. Games are there, you can see what there's a certain consistency in style, not necessarily formation, because it always depends on your players and things like that. So I don't think it's, I think it's club versus club, not coach versus coach. I do have a lot of respect for him. I think you have to respect the work he's done here. There's no doubt about that. And so I have a respect for all opponents and all coaches. I always have. That doesn't mean there's no burning desire to win at all times. And going back to the previous question, I never go into any game to look for a point. I always go to win. No doubt about that.
So my next question is, we know you had a stint with the Philippines as well.
Yes.
So looking at Indian football for a few months, how do you rate Indian football with respect to other Asian countries, based on Philippines, Indonesia and all that?
Sure, well, I mean, most of my background has been Philippines and Thailand, Thai League football in sort of Thai League and Champions League football has been with Thailand. And then national team football with Philippines, but all of which we've crossed paths at times, and I've seen the Indian national team play. I remember seeing them in the 2019 Asian Cup in Abu Dhabi. I remember the first game where they beat Thailand. We were really strong at that stage. And then, you know, there's some very good players. It's a very big league. It's well supported. The media are excellent. I've always kept tabs on it because I know players that have played here. I know there's a player tomorrow night playing for Eastbengal. I've seen first stand up front in Thailand many times, played in silver. You know, so I know coaches that have coached in the league. So for me, it's a league that I've watched, I've got information on, I've seen, you know, I do respect it. It would be nice now to see an Indian Super League team advance in the Champions League a bit further. I think that's something that would hold a little bit more stature to the league going forward. And I think the teams, looks like the teams there that can and should do that. So I think that would be good. If the Thai teams can do it, get to quarterfinals and areas like that, Champions League, wide on teams from the Indian Super League. So it would be good for Indian football to see that, as well as the strides that the national team have made as well.
Thank you.
My team.
Yes.
Well, I mean, people know that Rick Das is not with us. That's for sure. People are aware of that. It's not something we have to hide. He's just going through some exploratory checks. We'll see how significant that will be or not. What's that? Peter Sliskovic, people know, strive to resign from last year in the league, has been ruled out. So, you know, there are those two compromises that we've had to deal with. But that's what you have a squad for, right? I mean, you'll never get me complaining, or poor old me, or yeah, we've lost this player, we've lost that player. You have a squad of players for a reason. Players have to start, and players have to do the jobs. And which is when the 5 substitution rule came. Now there's an argument to say how you end a game is maybe more important than how you start a game too. So you know, you have a squad of players at any given night. You're probably going to use 16 players, you know, and so you better have to understand your squad.
Right, around 150 players in the national team as well. So how do you look at the scenario as a coach, and how much is it helping out Jamshedpur FC grow as a team?
That's a great question. It's a massive influence in me taking the job, in me accepting the job, because there's 900 academy players in Jamshedpur. It's a football club and an ownership group that strive for excellence and development, not just in football, but in many sports. Their integrity and the dignity and the way they operate is there for everybody to see. So they're exemplary in many areas. We have an academy with developing players. Part of the football club is 2. 1 is to win, 2 is to develop. Right? You can't always buy and swap. Sometimes you have to come with your own players, and I think that's a part of the club that was enticing. Of course, as a coach, you want to be able to stay long enough to see the fruits of some of that. You know, as a head coach, it's a hire and fire mentality a lot of times in football, right? And so sometimes you could see a 15-year-old, and you wonder if you're ever going to see him when he's 19 or 20. Right? You're hoping you will. sometimes as coaches will accelerate some boys' learning. And so for me, I'm looking into all areas of Jamshedpur Football Club in the academy and players and the way how the pathway is. You know, is there a common philosophy throughout? There are things that during time will hopefully be evident that we can bring new players through in the right way. But for me, it was a huge part of making a decision. You know, from my background, I come from an academy background, Leicester City and youth national teams and other areas. So for me, it's something that if you can, you know, fans. I'll say this: fans, they love nothing more than a homegrown player doing really well. All fans love it. Okay, you like your marquee signings and they get excited, but something touches fans deep in the soul when they see a local-born player or a local lad coming through and doing really well, and that's special. It also saves you a lot of money in transfer fees too, right?